Here we go, another episode of Kanata on the Rocks. I am your host, Patty Kildare, local realtor with Sutton Group Ottawa. And Happy New Year, first of all. Today we have Mr. Kyle Turk with Meerkat Marketing. Kyle, thank you so much for making the time. Really appreciate it. You're here on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How was the drive this morning?
Not bad. Yeah,
It's been cold, man, for the last couple of weeks or so. It's been really, really cold.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got a hybrid and the electric doesn't work when it's too cold out.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a good old electric engine, electric motor, I should say. Can't be messing it up. So I wanted to talk to you, Kyle. Really appreciate it, first off, you making the time for us. What's Meerkat Marketing? Tell me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it's a marketing boutique in Ottawa. So we're a very local firm. I'd say probably about 90% of the business we do is with local businesses. Service small to mid-sized companies, social media, strategy, SEO, websites, kind of almost full service, yeah.
And when you say medium, mid-size, like, is there a specific sort of niche that you guys go after or anything specific, or mostly?
We do kind of across the board industries. We do have kind of clumps of different types of businesses. So like commercial real estate is probably our biggest, construction and professional services.
So let's peel back a little bit. When did you get started with Meerkat Marketing?
So Meerkat, so it's been almost 5 years now. So I started it kind of as a side hustle just to make some extra coin.
And then, good old side hustle.
Yeah. And then it turned into the full-time gig.
Well, that's how it starts. Like any business, if you can't, the best way to start it is really with the side hustle and then kind of focus from there. So with that being said, I'd like to kind of dig into it a little bit. And like for the folks that are watching, let them know a little bit more about how it started, the struggle that you've gone through for the first couple of years. Because obviously, like every business, there's always a struggle, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about that. How was it?
I mean, it was great to start. The hardest thing to start was just picking a name. So it was probably like 2 to 3 months before I had a name chosen. I couldn't think of one. My brother's in marketing as well. So I asked him, I said, what can I call this company? And he said, you know what, just pick an animal because the logos are way easier to do when you have an animal. So I ended up,
why Meerkat?
So I knew we'd be focused on social media as one of our primary services. So I just basically Googled what are the most social animals on the planet. Meerkats were kind of at top of the list. Yeah, and they were my favorite animal at the Peterborough Zoo where I grew up. So I'd go and I loved the meerkats. I was like, perfect. As soon as I Googled it, I was like, Meerkat Marketing, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit, you got the name, you got started. What was your first sort of client looking like, that journey?
Yeah, so our first client was Jennings Real Estate. They kind of hopped on board when they knew that, I could help them out. So the way the business actually started, like even just as a side hustle, I had a full-time job elsewhere, but I always had a lot of people asking me, what do I need to do? Who do I talk to for this with regards to marketing? So it kind of just was like, well, I've been sending a lot of work elsewhere. I may as well, start to take some of it, hone my skills, work with some of the, great business leaders that were talking to me. And so it just worked out that way. So we had them as the first client, started helping them with LinkedIn, a little bit on the website, and they were just very supportive. Great. Yeah, was still a client to this day.
Amazing. Yeah. And that actually shows, like if you had somebody that from day one started as a client and still here, they've been through the thick and thin with you. And not only that, but it's a good testament for you as an organization that you guys are doing a fantastic job that they're keeping you.
Yeah, we're very happy.
So what do you guys specialize in, like when it comes to marketing? It's a massive term. Like when someone says in marketing, you're like, okay, here we go. What do you guys do specifically?
We'll do kind of one-off services all the time for people that say, hey, we know we need this. Can you help us out? But I think like the kind of the big value that we deliver and where we get brought in a lot of times is people are doing marketing. They're doing things. They know they need to be on social. They're posting on social. They know they need a website. They know they need to rank better, but they're just not really getting anywhere with it. So they're, just kind of struggling to see results. So we get brought in kind of on the strategy side originally as like the first point to say, okay, how are we going to do these things differently? Is this where we should be putting our marketing efforts, or should we be looking at other avenues? So we typically come in with a marketing strategy, provide our recommendations and plan, and then we'll either work with the internal teams or we'll become sort of their internal marketing department. So strategy is probably where we really kind of bring the most value for sure. And then from there, we do a lot of social media and websites and SEO probably as the other core pieces.
Fantastic. And so that would be kind of like your bread and butter,
Yeah.
social media, the websites, all of that. Marketing and sales. Those are always two. And I mean, for every organization that I've worked in, it's always like rivalry, a massive rivalry. Like sometimes they're not on the same page. What are your thoughts on that?
They got to be fully integrated. Yeah, sales and marketing to work together.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be battling or having a rivalry. Basically, the way I see it, in the way I explain it to a lot of clients, is that marketing has to support your sales, right? And your salespeople have to utilize the marketing so that you're both driving the revenue together.
And I mean, that's the whole idea, right? Like the marketing is there to boost sales.
Yeah.
Like if you're not working, if you're not on the same page, like something's got to give here.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about, that 5-year journey. How did that, like, how did you guys get to where you are today?
Yeah, so it started as the side hustle for probably just over 3 years. So I'll be almost 2 years full time come June. So yeah, just slowly as people ask me, who do I talk to? I need help on this. Can you give me a hand? I take, selective clients here and there as long as I had time to service them.
Of course.
While I had my full-time jobs. But yeah, so it started that way. And then I slowly built like a pretty good base of recurring clients every month that, were very supportive. They were easy to work with, no headaches or anything, like just smooth sailing, showing really good results. So, I think both parties were very happy. But when I did make the jump to full-time, it was very, very easy. It's not like I was starting a business from scratch. I had a really good base and then it was just growing from there. So, yeah.
So 2 questions come up with this whole, just kind of digging into what you said there. Recurring revenue is one of the things that a lot of software companies look for. And you've mentioned that this is kind of like it's the way for you to put the lights on. So tell me a little bit more about how you keep that sort of going and at the same time going out for acquisition, getting more clients.
Yeah, so we don't focus on acquiring new clients. We've never actually had a full sales effort to try to bring in new work. So for us, it's, the more we can service those recurring clients and service them well, showcase the results, and just have very good client service, we get the referrals in. And we also just get a lot organically just from, our own social media, how we rank on Google, our website drives a lot. So we've never actually, if you have kind of good marketing, we've never actually done any sales push or tried to spend effort on acquiring clients. We just kind of do work, we do it well. And if we can do that for ourselves the same way we do it for our clients, the work kind of flows in. So knock on wood, that keeps going. But
no, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. It's like, you're the one thing that most people need, which is your help in marketing and like the ranking and all of that.
Yeah.
You're doing it for yourself anyway. So you really don't need to worry about sort of back end. It's kind of a balancing act. Like when I was in software, it was always a balancing act with the recurring revenue. Because like at one point, you're bringing the clients in. A lot of the times they come in at a low start point. And then from there, the account managers start to kind of grow the account and, sell more within the account.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to sell in the account than actually go and acquire a brand new client. And it costs a lot less as well.
Yeah.
Because you already have them. You already paid that cost at one point. And then acquisition is a little bit different. And you're always sort of behind the 8 ball. You're always starting new.
Yeah.
It's that hunter role kind of thing that, not everybody likes, but some people enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I want to go back again to the time that you decided, okay, I'm going to flip the switch now and go full time. How did that feel?
Felt great. Yeah. It was, I wasn't nervous at all. I was very confident in kind of how things would go since I already knew from, running it for a few years kind of on the side that it was pretty consistent. So it just kind of continued to grow and snowball. Like there wasn't a time where I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? So
it's always the case, especially like when it's a side hustle and you're just so comfortable with that cushy job on the side, you're 9 to 5, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I'm gonna jump in, and then oh no, what happened?
Yeah,
crap. Like you gotta dial it back a little bit. So like it's nerve-wracking for some people to do that. It takes a lot of guts to be able to jump in head first and kind of do it that way. But from the sounds of it, it sounds like you've already built a base of clients that are very happy with you, really enjoying the service. So it wasn't that much of a hassle.
Yeah, it wasn't. And I, right out of university too, I was an entrepreneur for I think the first 7 years of my career. So I was used to, and I knew what to expect kind of when I hopped into it. So it wasn't all new.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with entrepreneurs. Like once you're an entrepreneur, it's very hard for you to go back to a job.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult to kind of put you back in that box.
Yeah. You know what, though? I think like, so I did kind of 7 years right out of university as an entrepreneur. I probably, I learned a lot, obviously, but when I went to the full-time jobs elsewhere, like I learned so much at each one of those jobs that was extremely valuable for like my next entrepreneurship career. So for Meerkat, I don't think it would be anywhere near as successful from like, when I worked at Welch LLP, like I worked there in their marketing department for a few years and like learned everything about like networking, like community involvement. Like I learned so much there. And then I went to Keynote Search, executive search company, and just like learning like the leadership, the co-founders there, how they ran kind of a smaller business.
As well too.
They're great. Yeah. So like from there, like I ran their marketing department, and like the things I learned there from like a digital perspective, especially like we saw such good results. So like those learnings like were unbelievable from when I went full time. So I don't think Meerkat would be where it is without having that experience.
It is definitely like you do have to pay your dues working into the corporate for a bit.
Yeah.
But definitely like, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, going back to entrepreneurship was probably your hustle.
Yeah.
To start with.
Yeah.
It's probably where you felt the most comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, those roles like Welch and Keynote specifically, they ran their businesses very entrepreneurial. So it was almost like I had my own like mini agency with one big client, right? So
especially with Keynote, I know that for a fact. They're very entrepreneurial.
Yeah. So it felt like both those firms felt extremely entrepreneurial. So it was a really good feeling, but obviously, having your own business as well and doing it for yourself and seeing it grow is obviously very rewarding as well.
Well, I'd like to compare it with like, raising your baby or raising somebody else's baby kind of thing. It's different, completely different. So with that being said, I just want to dig into it from a marketing standpoint. In your opinion, what's like the ABCs of marketing that people should know at least before they dig into starting a business?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that gets missed a lot of times is people know like, oh, I got to do this, 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 this. You don't have to do it all. You got to kind of, figure out who your target market is, what kind of persona they have, and what's going to resonate best with them. So you obviously, when you're hopping into marketing, you can't do everything. And if you do, it'll be very expensive. Choose the avenues that are going to give you the most return. So I see, a lot of times when we go into businesses, even very established businesses that do spend a lot in marketing, they're spending to spend because they think they have to do it.
Yeah.
So where we come in is understanding what they're doing, what they should be doing differently. Not to sound like Apple there, but and then, from there it's okay, where do we put the efforts? And really hone in on those so that we do them extremely well and drive the right results for them.
Yeah, and that's really like the point where you mentioned spending to spend, which is not really a good strategy.
Yeah.
I find a lot of times like where people would go into spending money on a certain avenue of marketing and it doesn't even jive or go well with the messaging or their sort of identity as an organization.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like there'd be more than a handful of clients we've worked with that did Google ads because, we got to advertise on Google without understanding what the return was. Like they were spending because they knew they had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like, it's not for them. That's not the right approach for you. Like you're not going to, just because the industry you're in, who you're targeting, the Google ads are not going to work for you. It'll work for this other client that's targeting these type of people with these kind of transactional kind of approach, but it's not for everybody. So not everything is for everybody. Yeah.
And what's an engagement look like for you guys? Like how do you determine on your side that this is the right client for us, or vice versa? How would the client determine that you're the right organization for them?
Yeah, I think it's just from a discovery call. When we both first chat with each other, like I'll know right off the hop whether we want to work with them or if we don't. My guess is on the other end, they're feeling the same. There's either that connection, that trust that's built quickly, or it's, I don't, as soon as that vibe kicks in, I don't think either parties wants to go forward. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. Now, we've talked about the ABCs of marketing. If you have very low budget.
Yeah.
What's a good start? What are your recommendations for a good start? Like where you should focus kind of thing?
Once again, it's hard. There's no silver bullet. There's no you should do A, B, C. It's, if you have a low budget, it's just look at your customers. How are you currently getting them? Where are all the, prospects? What do they look like? Where are they? Who are they? What's that persona? So I always say just build your personas. So who is that person? What do they look like? What are their interests? What do they do? And that'll determine the best way to reach them. So if you're B2B, a lot of times LinkedIn can be a very effective tool to drive kind of revenue. Even B2C, LinkedIn can be a very good tool. Organic social is easy to do on your own to at least get something going. So social is a good start, but it really does depend.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more. So I've had somebody on the podcast here talking about SEO. I just want to get your opinion on what's SEO, what's it like for you guys? How long of a strategy would you need to have a really good SEO going?
Yeah, so SEO is a kind of long-term commitment, and we are upfront about that with our clients right away to say you're not going to rank number one overnight, right? So it's, are you going to, how important is it to rank higher than your competitors in your market? So if SEO is a tool that you should be using because you want to, gain market share from your competitors, you want to get more visibility, you want to get more traffic to your website because you can convert people once you get them there, then SEO can be the right tool. What it looks like is, from our standpoint, is the first month is always kind of doing an audit of where you are online, how you're ranking right now, and then building a plan to say, okay, let's say we've got a grouping of keywords we want to target. We're number 40 right now for average position, let's say. Our goal is to be in the top 3. Then we'll kind of put together a plan to say, okay, here's how we're going to get there. It might be 6 months. It might be 12 months. It might be 24 months before you get there.
Yeah.
There's no, if there was a magic bullet for Google, everybody would be doing it, right?
Well, that's the thing. They also keep changing their algorithm.
It's always changing.
Monthly.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. So what's the difference between ranking really well in terms of your Google page versus website?
Yeah, once again, it does depend on your objectives and where you focus. Obviously, there's all kinds of tools to optimize your Google business profile there. Like companies like HubSpot, all that kind of stuff will give you, here's how you should kind of put together your Google page. The website is really to me, the key factor for a lot of our clients, because a lot of our clients are not multi-location, worldwide kind of clients. Need that location pop all the time for somebody just looking for, hey, I need to grab a quick bite while I'm somewhere in this area, right? There's lots of great companies. SEO Plus is a really good company for multi-location businesses from the SEO front. But so for us, the website is key. The content on your website and how it's kind of structured technically seems to be the biggest impact. So basically the content, it's what's written on your website. What are you talking about? Is it relevant to Google? Google loves to answer people's questions when they type them in. So is your content thorough enough that Google would see it as relevant to answering questions? And that's typically where we start with a lot of our clients, is that written content piece.
Now, the question that begs itself is can you kind of go one way or the other, or does it have to be both, or what are your thoughts on that?
I would say always bring everything together. All of your marketing, no matter what it is, has to work together.
Yeah.
So your strategy for SEO has to be in line with what you're doing on social, for example, right? What are you doing on social that you can utilize on SEO, and what are you doing on SEO that you can then utilize for social?
Yeah.
So everything has to work together towards whatever your business objectives are, whether it's, revenue, growing market share, awareness, engagement.
Again, Carl, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for, bringing your wisdom here, and I really appreciate it. And for folks that are watching, don't forget to hit the like button if you like what you see. Subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can get more and more episodes about this. And if you want to check out Kyle at Meerkat Marketing, he's got LinkedIn, he's got website, they've got it all. Marketing 101, it's over here. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.